Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with returning guest Doug Upstone, who's been on fire since he's begun wearing a tie in our preview videos. Doug Upstone comes to us from sports-watch.com. Doug, thanks for being here once again, and tell us a little bit about sports-watch.com.
Sure, Peter. Great to be back once again. You know, all season long, 11th Hour Sports has been our leader in college football, and they continue. They're up 12 units and really have been doing a great job. Now, Matthew Smith from CompuPicks actually came a little late to the party, actually didn't join the monitor to the third week, but he's now moved up to number 2 in units and is number 1 in winning percentage overall. Now, last weekend, Brad Diamond from Diamond Quick Picks had a phenomenal week at 6-1. So everybody, please take a look at sports-watch.com to check out our monitor to see how all the different handicappers perform, and you can see exactly what you might want looking ahead in terms of if you want to get a handicapper for the upcoming bowl season, because believe me, some of these guys are going to be red hot going into it.
Okay, great. And I also encourage all people watching now to watch the rest of this video, because Doug Upstone, 3-0 this week. I think you were 2-1 last week. Ever since he put on the tie, he's been on fire. So let's see what Doug has to say about Nebraska and Wisconsin, the Big Ten championship game. Wisconsin's a 3-point underdog. Of course, people are talking about how, you know, they don't really deserve to be here, Ohio State, Penn State, and all that. They have already played once this year. Nebraska beat them, went to 57 points. And I'm thinking that this game, played on a neutral field indoors, might be a good bet on the over at 49. And as far as the spread is concerned, I don't know. You know, whenever you have a team that feels like it has something to prove, like Wisconsin does as an underdog, especially against a team like Nebraska, which has sort of been notoriously a team that's a little bit inconsistent and kind of lets down in big games, I'm thinking if I had to make a bet on this one, I might take Wisconsin, you know, on the money line or even -2 or something like that. What do you like here, Doug?
You know, in your case about the total, I would agree with you. I think the over is probably going to be the better play. Mm-hmm. But you know who's really nervous in this game?
Who?
It's the Rose Bowl officials, because the last thing they want is a Wisconsin upset. You know, Wisconsin's 7-5 record is more fitting for the Fight Hunger Bowl, and a victory would send them to Pasadena for a third straight year, except this time with a mediocre football team. Now, Wisconsin's rushing attack on paper looks really good at 216 yards a game, but but doing a stats check, I found that almost 40% of that total came in 2 games against Purdue and Indiana. Also, because of their quarterbacks' problems in terms of injuries and ineffective play, they've really transformed into a more one-dimensional team, averaging just 140 yards passing in the second half of the season. However, to the Badgers' credit, they've only turned the ball over 11 times all season. Now, Badger fans, I know, they'll argue that they've suffered 3 overtime losses and they could easily be 10-2. But I also make the argument that they should have lost to Northern Illinois and definitely should have lost to Utah State. So I think they actually are where they belong. Now, Nebraska won't exactly be new to the party in terms of the Rose Bowl because they played UCLA there in September. But at least this would be a new experience for Husker Nation as Big Ten champions. Now, Taylor Martinez is a completely different quarterback from what we've seen in the past. He's now a significantly better passer to go along with having excellent running skills. The return of running back Rex Burkhardt last week, I think, really helps the Cornhuskers running game become more explosive, which is important against a Wisconsin defense that's allowing just 111 yards per game rushing. The greater concern for Nebraska is turnovers, since they average almost 2.5 a game. Now, Peter, here's how I see this game. As opposed to what you're saying maybe about Nebraska, I think this Nebraska team's a little bit different. I think they're mentally tougher because they had to win their last 6 games in the Big Ten season to reach the Big Ten championship. And overall on the season, half their victories came when they came from behind in the second half of games. Now, in the earlier meeting, Wisconsin could not hold a 17-point lead and netted just 56 rushing yards. Wisconsin quarterback Kurt Phillips is not the same passer that the previous quarterback, Joel Stave, was, and if Wisconsin cannot run, they cannot win. I'm not saying a major blowout here, just a solid victory by a touchdown by the children of the corn.
Wow, I like it. And I also kind of like what you had to say about the Rose Bowl officials. You think they really would be embarrassed if Wisconsin, wound up being the representative? So you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they might.
That's a big deal. You know? And speaking of that type of thing, Peter, you and I should try and get a gig as these bowl officials. How
Yes.
good would that be? Going to a football game, every now and again, across the country, slapping some people on the back, telling them we'd love to have you as one of our representatives for our bowl game.
Sure.
Life is good.
Yeah, that would be great. But so maybe the officials will be told, the refs for the game will be told that the Rose Bowl people.
Now, count me out of any conspiracy theories. No, save that for somebody else. No, but no. The fact of the matter is, I think Nebraska's the better football team. Wisconsin's just not as good this year. I think they are exactly what their record says they are, to borrow from Bill Parcells. And I think Nebraska just gets it done. I think, like I said, I think they're a mentally stronger team from all they've been through this particular year. That loss to Ohio State when they gave up 63 points and were crushed. I think that's given them impetus to go on. And Bo Pelini has challenged them, and they've answered the bell. I think they're going to answer it one more time and take out Wisconsin.
Okay. Pretty compelling argument there, Doug Upstone. We'll see how it turns out. Thanks.